You know, we all think we know the internet, right? It's where we get our work done, do our shopping, connect with people. But what if I told you that just beyond the glow of your screen, there's a whole other web? A massive, hidden digital world that's built on one single idea: complete and total anonymity. Well, today, we're diving under the surface to explore that hidden web. So let me just throw this out there. What if pretty much everything you think of as the internet is just the tiny tip of the iceberg? What if something like 90% of it is completely invisible to search engines like Google? Yeah, that's not a wild guess. That's the reality we're about to jump into.
Okay, so to even start to wrap our heads around this hidden territory, we're going to need a map. Let's really chart out these unseen layers and figure out what we're actually talking about when we say things like the deep web and the dark web.
In this iceberg visual, it's pretty much perfect for this. See that little tip sticking out of the water? That's the surface web, all the stuff Google can find. But underneath that massive chunk of ice, that's the deep web. Now, this isn't some scary, sinister place. It's just all the unindexed stuff like your online banking portal, your email inbox, subscription services. And then way, way down at the bottom, in the darkest part, you've got something totally different, the dark web, which is hidden on purpose.
And here is the absolute key distinction you have to remember. The dark web is not the same thing as the deep web. Nope. It's a very small, very specific corner of the deep web that was custom built to hide who you are and to block any normal way of getting in. Here, anonymity isn't just a cool feature, it's the whole point. Right, so you're probably wondering, if this place is so hidden and such a pain to get to, why would anyone even bother? Well, the reasons are way more complicated than the scary stories you hear. It's definitely not all about criminals. It really all boils down to about 4 key things. People are looking for everything from just basic privacy and a way to get around censorship, all the way to some really specialized online communities. And sometimes, yeah, it's just plain old curiosity.
First up, and this is maybe the most important reason, is privacy. Think about it. For a journalist talking to a very sensitive source, or activists living under an oppressive government, or even a whistleblower who's trying to expose corruption, for them the anonymity of the dark web isn't a choice. It's an absolute necessity for their safety and their work.
And that need for safety flows right into the next point: censorship. For people in countries where the government controls every bit of information, the dark web becomes a lifeline. It's their only way to get to uncensored news, to blocked websites, and to forums where they can actually have an open conversation.
Then, of course, you have the specialized services. The dark web is home to some unique marketplaces and communities for people with very specific interests. And yeah, while some of that stuff is for sure illegal, a lot of it is just focused on privacy-first services or niche hobbies that just couldn't exist out on the regular web.
And finally, you have just simple human curiosity. I mean, for tech lovers, researchers, and anyone who's just digitally adventurous, the dark web is like an uncharted territory. A chance to see a completely different side of the internet and to understand how it all really works under the hood.
Okay, so we've covered why people go there. But how? How does it actually give you this insane level of anonymity? Let's dig into the tech that makes this whole hidden world tick.
The key to this whole operation is a piece of software, usually the Onion router, or just Tor. Its one and only job is to make what you do online anonymous. It does that by hiding your IP address. That's your computer's unique fingerprint, which makes your location and your identity practically untraceable.
So, how does it do that? Well, the name The Onion Router is actually the perfect hint. Tor takes your data and wraps it up in multiple layers of encryption, like an onion. Then it bounces that encrypted data through a totally random network of servers that are run by volunteers all over the world. Each server only knows where the data just came from and where it's going next. So by the time your request actually gets to its destination, nobody has any idea where it started. Its origin is completely lost.
This whole anonymity thing even changes how websites are named. Instead of the .com or .org we see every day, dark websites use a special .onion domain. And those addresses aren't just a quirky name. They're basically a sign that says, hey, you can only get to me by using an anonymous network like Tor.
All right, so you've got the special browser, you get the whole .onion address thing, but now you've got a new problem. There's no Google on the dark web. So how do you actually find anything in this hidden maze?
I mean, it's a huge practical issue, right? If these sites are literally designed to be invisible to search engines, how in the world does anyone discover anything? Well, the answer is surprisingly old school.
You use directories. Seriously, think of them like the yellow pages for the dark web. These are basically websites run by other users that collect and organize links to other live.onion sites. They create a working index in a place where search engines just can't go. And let me tell you, these directories are absolutely essential. They don't just give you a list of links. Good ones will categorize sites by topic, they'll share reviews from other users, and, this is the most important part, they warn you about potential scams or malicious sites. They bring a much-needed layer of order and trust to what would otherwise be total chaos. So, as we start to pull all this together, it becomes pretty clear that the dark web isn't inherently good or bad. Just like any really powerful tool, its morality comes from how people choose to use it. Anonymity, it turns out, is a very sharp double-edged sword. At the end of the day, it's probably best to just see it as a complex place where technology and human nature smash into each other. It's a powerful tool that offers privacy, but it's also a place that hosts specialized and sometimes pretty dangerous services. Look, if there's one thing you should take away from this, it's this duality. The dark web provides an essential shield for vulnerable people, for the oppressed, but that exact same shield can be, and is, exploited by people with terrible intentions. To understand it, you really have to accept both sides of that coin. And all of that leaves us with one final big question to think about. Is the dark web a necessary shield in our age of constant surveillance, or is it an unavoidably dangerous shadow that's cast on our digital world? The truth is, it's probably both. Thanks for joining me.